The Celtics beat the Lakers again off the back of a game-saving block by Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown gave us a redemption arc that would make Darth Vader jealous. All that and more on First to the Floor.
Who's going to be first to the floor here? And it was Marcus Smart, as he usually is.
Brown drives, layup on the glass.
That's not the first time we've seen a superstar in green and white sacrifice the body.
Garnett knocked away.
Welcome back to another episode of First to the Floor, and I'm joined, as I often am, by the big dog, Wayne Spooney. How are you, mate?
Good. On Facebook, I don't know if they still let you do this, but they used to let you put like your relationship status as it's complicated. It's complicated with me and the Celtics right now, but hey, dude, they all count the same in the win column, right?
Never in doubt.
Yeah.
Never in doubt. Look, we may as well get straight into it.
Yeah,
address the elephant in the room. The Celtics played the Lakers yesterday. We survived NBA Rivals Week. Great initiative, firstly, by the NBA.
Cool.
How much fun was that? Jason Tatum allegedly fouled LeBron on one of the last plays of regulation, and LeBron reacted as if Adam Silver had taken his family hostage. It was absolutely absurd. The Lakers have never had a call go against them. There was no bad calls leading up to that went against the Celtics. How do we unpack the last few minutes of regulation there, Spence?
So, okay, here's what I want to say about LeBron's reaction. First of all, the last 2-minute report came out, and there were 3 calls missed in favor of the Lakers, and one, the no call on Tatum's block, quote unquote block, was the only one in favor of the Celtics. So the fact that I have not seen an NBA player react to anything the way LeBron James reacted. Bro, you're 4 games under 500. This game is not that important. If you cared this much, you probably should have won a lot more than 23 games before this point. I mean, that was absolutely absurd. And I don't even know, like, Pat Bev almost closed this game out for the Lakers. Like, it was just a bizarre game. What's up, Landon? Thanks for stopping in as always. Just a really bizarre game from start to finish. And the last 2 minutes were the most bizarre of the bizarre, with Pat Bev with an absurd hip slam, at which last 2-minute report, that should have been a foul on Anthony Davis for pushing the back. So, I mean, what are we even talking about here? I mean, this reaction by LeBron and the Lakers is absurd. It's frankly embarrassing. Go win 50 games if you want to care this much about a regular season game. I'm sorry.
So that's clearly why they're so upset, right? Like, they need every game right now to get back into the playoffs. And it's like you had overtime. Like, this game was not over, and it looked like it was over for the Lakers in overtime. Like, they did not turn up. They weren't getting back on defense for Jaylen Brown out in transition.
Oh God, dude, Jaylen was absurd in the overtime. They just, like, no one wanted to guard him.
They didn't want any business that Jaylen Brown had for them. We've got a couple of clips here, just because I think it's important to note that this is not, the Celtics have gone through many a time the refs have screwed us. So one that really firstly came to mind, Game 6, Western Conference semifinals in the bubble. Firstly, I forgot about this. Nick Nurse on the court. No technical.
Literally spotting up for a corner 3.
And then Kemba going down, tie ball game, 3 seconds left. Hacked by OG Anunoby. And look at this reaction from Kemba Walker. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see. We're showing the clips here. OG hacks him there. Not only that, the Raptors get a timeout somehow off of this rebound when it's clearly a jump ball with 2.2 seconds left. I mean, OG, like, I was catatonic. I was catatonic. It was I was a mess. I had to go for a very long walk after that game. And another example, just this season as well, against the Cavs, the second game that went to overtime, Tatum, amazing play by the Celtics, dunks it on Jalen Allen's head. and Jared Allen smacks him in the head, no call, smacks him in
Yeah.
the shoulder,
Clear
no
as
call.
day, ref right in
Like-
front of him too.
Like complete miss. So yes, of course Tatum was upset. Yes, of course Kemba was upset. But this happens every day, multiple times per game. I don't think that there's like an easy fix to like dealing with the refs and their missing calls. I think basketball is a really difficult sport to get right, especially when there's so many calls and there's so many plays happening at all times. But it's just, I think Spoonie, you have one more call from the Knicks game as well.
You say it happens every day, Jake. It's because it does. Because literally the game before, when we lost to the Knicks in overtime, Rob Williams has a game-winning putback that he clearly gets hacked by Jericho Sims on. No call. We go to OT. Celtics lose in overtime. Have you heard any whinging from Celtics fans? Have you heard any absurd takes? No. Celtics fans are like, I can't believe we played so bad. We should have beat them in overtime. This is ridiculous. We suck. It's not like this is all a conspiracy against LeBron James and the Lakers. If anything, the whole league has been a conspiracy for the Lakers. Like throughout their entire history, they get the benefit of everything. David Stern used to say, my ideal finals matchup would be the Lakers versus the Lakers. Like, what are we talking about?
It's absurd. Okay, trivia time. I will not, no one should feel bad for the Lakers. It's a perfect point. Everyone knows for the NBA to make more money, the Lakers playing prime time, the Lakers being in the playoffs, the Lakers being in the finals makes not just the NBA money, it makes all the other teams money, it makes the players more money. Literally, everybody wins when the Lakers are in the playoffs and in the finals. Let's go back a few years here, Spoon. Let's see how you do on this little trivia question I've got for you.
Okay. Uh-oh.
2010, Celtics Lakers Game 7. Can you guess how many Lakers shot in the fourth quarter of Game 7?
Free throws?
Free throws, sorry.
Wasn't it like 20?
21 free throw attempts.
Hey, that's pretty good.
That's a point.
Yeah.
Now, sub question. How many free throws did Kobe Bryant shoot in the fourth quarter of Game 7?
12?
9.
9. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Look, I can't do 9
That's
times 4.
absurd.
That seems like a lot. That seems like a
Yeah.
lot of free throws for a full game. The Lakers, I will never, ever, ever feel sorry for you. There is no conspiracy. The refs aren't out to get you. This is an imperfect game. Watch any other game, any other night. Read any 2-minute report. Calls go both ways every night. This is what happens. Please grow up.
Yeah. Hey, look, they missed that foul on Anthony Davis on Pat Bev's tip dunk. Say everything else remains the same and they get the Tatum call right. LeBron is not automatic from the free throw line by any point. So it's like you can't complain about one missed call when there's another one literally right before it that benefited your team to put them in the position where that no call screwed you. Like you can't have one without the other. So you just got to suck it up. You're going to get screwed by the refs and you're going to benefit from the refs, and it's going to balance out over the season. So especially when you're the Lakers, so, like, I don't want to hear it.
It's crazy. And the refs issued an apology on Twitter today.
Was that real?
I think it's real.
That's ridiculous, dude.
And
That
I
was
tweeted
pathetic.
this. The refs have to get together and put a highlight package or a low light package, similar to what Daryl Morey did for James Harden back at the Rockets days, of all the times LeBron acts like he's been shot in the neck, and it was a clear call, non-call that went, the right way. And his reaction, again, completely unwarranted. You look at Kemba, look at Tatum, look at all these guys that get fouled. Like, yeah, of course you're upset, but man, the reaction by LeBron, man, it's just, he is the lamest of the greatest players of all time. Like, pick the sport, man.
Oh yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
It's like, there's no question he is the second greatest basketball player of all time after Michael Jordan, of course. But I mean, the level of swag, the level of cool that some of these other players have is incomparable. And the Lakers, look, they're staring down the barrel of not just missing the playoffs this year. They're staring down the barrel of another decade, like at the bottom of the NBA and no way to get out like they were able to last year because they've traded all their picks until 2027.
It seems fake. It sounds fake. All their picks until 2027. But dude, go back to, I think it was the 2013 playoffs. They played Oladipo and Paul George in the first round, and it went to 7. LeBron was stiff arming Paul George every single drive, like throwing elbows into his neck and stuff. Every single drive, never an offensive foul. And they took them 7. So like he gets a few of those offensive foul calls, they might lose that series. And there you go, Heedle. So it's just, I mean, it's ridiculous. I could not stop laughing at that temper tantrum.
It was unbelievable.
Dude, my kid throws milder temper tantrums than that. He was like praying on the court practically. I mean, it was bizarre behavior. And then Pat Brev brings out the camera.
I love that.
Yeah,
that was amazing. And by the way, as far as we can tell, that technical that Pat Beverly received should have been in regulation, and the Lakers should have just lost the game.
Yeah,
which would have been
so sweet,
so sweet. I don't know if we have any other refs Lakers takes.
No, I think we've we've got all those out. It feels good though.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Chef's kiss, undefeated against the Lakers this year. 2 overtime games, 2 W's. Never in doubt, of course. How about the rest of the game? I think coming into the game, I was, my kind of general feel of the Celtics is we're in one of our classic slides that we've been doing pretty much all of the Tatum, Smart, Jalen, Brad Stevens era. How long is it going to last? Is this going to be the day that they kind of snap out of it? Or are we going to have to kind of get through another one of those games? And it was kind of the latter, even though they ended up winning.
Yeah, I don't know if I should feel good that they managed to win this game despite not playing very well, or feel bad. This is kind of what I was getting at when I said the relationship is complicated with the Celtics right now. Or if I should be concerned that the same bad habits from the previous 3 losses, reared their ugly head in a game where, look, we're missing 2 of our best players. Like I don't want to forget that fact that like, we are not a championship caliber team without Marcus Smart and probably without Rob Williams as well. So you got to expect or rather the expectation has to be lowered a little bit when those guys are out, but you can still play the right way. And it seemed like both of these past 2 games, they didn't start playing the right way until the 4th quarter. And I thought Jalen, especially in crunch time, was the best player on the court, and I'm not sure it was particularly close. He absolutely dominated this game in the 4th in overtime. 37-9-3 with a steal and a block, 3 turnovers, totally acceptable number considering how much he was handling the ball as well. So it pays to have another wing who is incredibly good, because this was not Tatum's finest game.
No, it was not.
Yeah.
No, it was not. And but I will say with Tatum, the fact that he's getting to the line so much, like he ended up still getting 30 in this game.
I know. It's crazy.
Like first part of last season when he was having that stinker of first third of the season, he wasn't getting to the line either. Yeah. So like these 7 for 20 nights were like 14, 17 points. But now he's getting to the line 10, 12 times a game. What feels like when he's having a bad game as well, he's like, all right, well, here's this other thing that I can do as well that helps us stay in the game, which is just really impressive. But Jalen, we were staring down the barrel of a pretty another uncomfortable Jaylen Brown conversation. Yeah. But man, what a redemption! Like the second half and overtime, right? Like what was it? It was 8 for 11, 24 points, 1 turnover, and 7 from 8 from the line. I mean, talk about redemption. Like
Cue Bob Marley.
Are you kidding me? Unbelievable. The fact that the next game after missing both free throws against the Knicks, which was brutal. I thought he would miss one. I thought for sure he would miss one. I didn't have missing 2 on my bingo card.
No, dude, that was so bad.
But the next game to have the like the basketball gods work in mysterious ways, and to have him get the opportunity, the next game on the line, Lakers, national TV, and nailed it. 7 from 8 from the line in the second half, 4 for 5 from the line in overtime. He was dominant. He was like, give me the ball. He was pushing in transition. It was a complete takeover on both ends. Defense was good as well, but that one pull-up three that he had in transition where he just stopped on a dime, splash, talking to the crowd. Felt like he was talking to himself as well.
Yeah.
Like he needed that. I think we all needed that.
I do not love that shot, except for I knew that was going in, because when Jalen is in the zone like that and he's hot, like that is a good shot for him in those moments. And I mean, he splashed that thing. It was never in doubt going to the bottom of the net. Now, I just thought it was great in that it shows a lot of progress for this team from a process standpoint. I don't know. I feel like last year, a lot of times Jalen was not super involved in crunch time in the offense. And in fact, people would call it out very often that Udoka is just having Jalen stand in the corner. He doesn't do anything in the fourth quarter. It's all Tatum ISO. And that's really changed. Jalen's been a killer in the fourth quarter this year. And this game was like the crowning, cherry on top of that, with just, I don't know what the Lakers were doing in semi-transition. I mean, they just weren't getting back, and he was just absolutely blowing by people, getting to the rim, getting fouled. I understand why the Lakers, I mean, they're pretty talented, man, but like they just don't do any of the little things you need to do. Like we complain about the Celtics not doing that stuff. The Lakers make us look like the 04 Pistons with the little things. You know what I mean? Like it's just pathetic.
It's a good question. We got Dylan in the chat here. It's like, how long are these habits going to persist? Are they going to decide to play 3.5 bad quarters per game? They won't. They won't. They will snap out of it eventually. And that's likely going to coincide with getting Marcus back and Rob coming back as well. The offensive rebounding from Anthony Davis,
brutal,
tough. 5 offensive rebounds. I think it led to 7 Laker points. If Rob's out there, that's not happening. Like that's just something that he's so incredible at. And so the sluggish offense, the contested threes, the lack of ball movement, both Rob and Marcus especially, is going to help us kind of get back on track there. Yeah. But again, 32% from 3 yesterday. Like we just cannot shoot. In the month of January, we're 20th in 3-point percentage. Yeah.
Luckily, the Lakers are worse, and they shot like 29% from 3, yeah. So that was nice. But I thought Joe made a really fascinating defensive choice in the fourth quarter and overtime, and that was putting Malcolm Brogdon on Anthony Davis. And Brogdon did a really, really good job. And I think the only place that Davis really hurt him was on the offensive glass. So I think if you're weighing the pros and cons of like having Brogdon be able to take care of Davis defensively and maybe give up a little on the glass, I think you're okay with it. And then also they love that LeBron Anthony Davis pick and roll, but when it's Brogdon, like he can do okay. He'll do a better job on LeBron than like Al Horford will. So you're not getting the switch you want when Brogdon is on Anthony Davis. And then you're switching like Jalen or Tatum onto AD, and they're fine enough. They can handle AD. Who did not?
AD,
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, AD, he's never going to be a guy that you drop it down in the post and he's banging you.
Right, exactly.
He's finesse, and that's
fallaways, pull up.
But that's where he's always been dominant though. It has been the boards, and like when he was in prime, even earlier this year, like those 35 and 17 nights that he was racking up with the Pelicans, and earlier this year, so much of that is coming off rebounds, lobs. Little touch shots, and the Celtics have kind of the length to make it difficult on him. So yeah, I really like Jolie's trying stuff, and then earlier in the game it was switch everything, because LeBron doesn't like. It's a tough matchup for Tatum. I find I think Al Grant I thought did a pretty good job on LeBron defensively yesterday. Yeah. But yeah, so they switched everything, which is why we didn't see Derek White for the most part, kind of down the stretch until Grant fouled out, which I also learned, which added to the conspiracy, was the first time a Celtics player has fouled out all season.
Yeah, that's right. Clearly, it's the refs are in it for us,
exactly.
Even though the first time someone fouled out. So it was. I thought Grant did a really good job on LeBron. No one can when LeBron cares and wants to win a game. There's really nothing you can do to stop him. You can just really, you almost treat him like Giannis. You kind of let him get his and limit his playmaking, because that's probably LeBron's greatest skill is his passing. And, I thought we did okay at that, better in the fourth quarter and overtime, especially overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, they were like a bizarre Russ and one putback from, really never being close in that OT. So yeah, and I thought this might have been Brogdon's best game. How did Vonleh never foul out? I know, yeah. If he had played more than, if he got up to like 12 minutes instead of 8, I think he probably would have. But Noah,
Yeah, no, Dylan, JT got kicked out in a preseason game, I believe, in Toronto.
Yeah.
So,
That's
no,
great. Yeah,
Brogdon was,
right?
yeah,
Brogdon
exactly,
was,
right?
yeah, wasn't I just want to ask, do you think this was Brogdon's best game as a Celtic? I mean, it's certainly up there.
Definitely up there. I'd have to go back and look, but I feel like there's been a couple where, but see, when he's having these nights, and we were on here, we were talking, he's going to have these games in the playoffs where he has 26 points, where he has 28, when he has 23, 8 for 15, 3 for 7 from 3, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, block. Like he was really doing it all. 39 minutes as well.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to some minute management stuff a bit later when we kind of look ahead. But we've now definitely been testing the boundaries more with Marcus out on what Brogdon's been able to do. And since that lull about 3 weeks ago, where one of those people, was starting to get a little antsy with the Malcolm Brogdon experience and the missed layups and the poor defense. It feels like he had a wake-up call. Basically just started playing better. And he's been fantastic, and we needed him in this game.
Yeah,
he kept us in it. Like the timely shots. When we did the showdown between all the Celtics skills, we had Tatum, Brogdon, and Jalen's pull up threes. And again, yesterday he hit another one big. You feel really confident with him taking those shots and being aggressive. Yeah, and we needed all of them yesterday.
Yeah, I think we talked about, should we be changing our expectations about what to expect from Malcolm Brogdon, and then he went and ripped off his best 3 weeks in 2 years. So yeah, as always, I'm a moron.
We'll take it. Yeah,
yeah,
it works for me.
I'll keep jinxing our players. The Tatum guy's terrible, huh? Yeah, and I thought if you combine his offensive output with what he did defensively, because I think this is probably, I've been critical of Brogdon's defense this year, and I think rightly so, because he's had some really bad moments on the defensive end. I think this was pretty easily his best defensive game of the season, and part of that is I think he's good when guys try to beat him with strength, because he's really, he's 6'5", good wingspan, and really strong. It's those quicker guards that can just kind of blow by him. So I thought he did as well as he could on LeBron, and just an incredible job on AD. So yeah, overall, man, I hard pressed to think of a game he's played better for the Celtics. I know he's had a couple bigger scoring nights, but when you look at the defense too, I mean, he was just great. Yeah,
let's chalk it up. Malcolm Brogdon against the Lakers, best game of the season. I feel like that's a good sign. I feel like that's a good sign as far as Malcolm Brogdon things go.
Right.
I mean, anything else from this specific game? Tatum, not a great one, obviously. I touched on the free throw attempts. I'm still trying to get over how much of an improvement that is. Like it's turned him in, from borderline top 10 scorer, having kind of issues with efficiency, and as painful it is for people and watching people go to the free throw line, that being able to buoy you when you're having a rough shooting night, which is just going to happen. That's just the NBA. Such a big deal. I thought the defense was there, a couple of offensive rebounds. Outside of the shooting, I thought he played pretty well.
Yeah, I think he hit the glass. He's been a monster on the glass for like a month now. Another double-digit rebounding game, 2 offensive boards, which he never gets offensive rebounds. And I like the process from him. He did take 10 threes, but I felt like he was really attacking the paint. A lot of his misses were at the rim, where it was like 50-50 whether he got called for a foul or not, including that one that got overturned that's
borderline. What are these conclusive things that are supposed to be happening? I don't understand.
AD, he was under AD's shoulder, and he rose up into AD's armpit essentially, and then AD pulled back, but there was contact there. So if it's a 50-50 call, which I think it is, right? Like, I understand if they didn't call that a foul on the floor. Okay, fine. But how do you overturn it if there's legitimate contact? It doesn't make any damn sense to me, but who knows?
And then that just reminded me like the Wiggins with Horford in the Warriors game, where it didn't look like he touched him. I don't understand. What is it conclusive? Not conclusive.
The refs seemingly don't understand.
No one knows. No one freaking knows. But yeah, he did have that stretch in the third quarter where he hit back-to-back threes, got to the line, and that was like, we needed a spark. We needed something. And that's that's why he's an MVP candidate. He can be having a bad game and then bang, we're back in it. And, he was able to do that. And in 47 minutes again. So that's so many.
It's got to stop.
It's
dude.
so many.
It's too much. We got to make a trade or something. It's just, he can't keep playing this much.
It's ridiculous. That's probably a good place to move on to our next little segment here. We've got 8 games left until the All-Star break. I've got some January stats here for you because it feels like it's been a bad month.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
it feels like it's been a bad month. And I think there has no question been some rough moments. Magic game, Heat game, Knicks game.
OKC.
Yeah, it's been a tough little stretch here. But that being said, firstly, we led the league in games played, 15. 4 teams have played 15 games in January, 10-5 over that stretch, 4th in the league in winning percentage. Offensive rating, which is, I think, what we can all see, 20th. Defensive rating, 6th. Net rating, 9th. 3-point percentage is 20th. And I think 3-point percentage, and then this little bit here, missed games. Marcus missed 6 out of 15 games. That's 40% of January.
Yeah.
Jalen missed 4. Rob missed 4. And then Brogdon and now missed 2. But the fact that both Marcus, Jalen, and Rob all missed 4 or more games, which is a really big chunk of the month, it can sometimes just be as simple as health, some 3-point shooting luck. I don't know. What are your kind of thoughts on zooming out for the month of January?
Yeah, I honestly think I think you're spot on with those 2 things. 1, it's health. And then 2, if shots aren't falling, you're not going to look super good on offense, right? Especially when it's an offense is predicated on generating open threes and then making them. And I wonder what that net rating looks like without that OKC game where we lost by 45 or 50 or whatever it was. So I think 9th, that's still
not bad.
We feels like we played terrible. We were 10-5 in the month with, Marcus missing 6 games and Jalen 4, Rob 4. So if this is our bad month, this is a pretty damn good team. And I think that's what we're seeing is even though they have not been playing their best ball, even though the shots aren't falling, they're still clawing their way to, what is that? 75% win percentage or 66% win percentage, which is like a 50-win team, basically. So if they're on their worst days, a 50-win team, and then, if they're even close to what they were for that first 2 months of the season where they were just blowing the doors off everybody, I mean, this is a championship team. That's what it looks like. Even when they're bad, they find ways to win. Even when the shots aren't falling, they find ways to win. And I think that's what we're seeing in January.
Yeah, I think, exactly. It can kind of be that simple. If you were to tell me that we were going to miss Marcus Smart for 40% of a season, I'd be like, that's worth a lot of wins that we're not going to be getting. If you're going to rank the most important players on the team after Jason Tatum, it's probably some combination of Jalen, Marcus, Rob, maybe Al. Is that and we missed all 3 of those guys during this month. So a lot of the trepidation with this month, I think, is fair because I think both things can be true in that the health wasn't super good. I think the process at some of the time hasn't been good as well, especially on offense, but it's kind of a chicken and an egg thing. Is that because Celtics are going back into bad habits, or is it because, their best playmaker and their best point guard hasn't been playing? And Dylan in the chat here earlier was like, we've got White and Brogdon. Why when Marcus goes out, are we seeing more and more initiation from Jason and Jalen? I think, increasing Jason's usage is fine. I think he's more than capable of being the lead initiator. But I totally agree. This is where Derek White should be playing 30, 35 minutes a night. He can play point guard. I do think playmaking ability, it can sometimes be a little overrated because he doesn't have the athleticism or the strength to really kind of create advantages one on one.
Right.
As good as he is as finding guys and connecting and moving the ball, being like pure point guard, there's no better emergency point guard in the NBA, I don't think, than Derek White. Like, it's a ridiculous, embarrassment of riches. But at the same time, you are going to see a dip relative to Marcus. Like, he's been so good. 2 career years in a row here, finding himself in this role. I don't think it can be overstated how important has been for this team. When he became when Jalen and Jason got called out by Smart and they finally bought into the ball movement of last season, it was with Marcus Smart running the show, trusting him to make plays, moving the ball back to Marcus so he can make more plays. And the same was true when they were the best offense in the league this year. We love and trust Marcus Smart for a reason,
Yeah, and that was kind of the knock on Marcus his first couple of years. Is like he just can't create an advantage. Like even when he gets into the lane, he's kind of finishing over people or through people. So he's not really drawing a ton of help. And then that makes it harder to get assists, right? When you're not getting guys open with your dribble penetration as a point guard, like you're not going to be an incredible playmaker, even if Marcus is a great passer. But he's gotten to the point now where he's just so clever on the pick and roll that even if he's not got the quickest first step, and he's so strong that if you are behind him, he just puts you in jail. He just uses his strength, and then that help's got to come. And he is such a good, the thing I miss about Marcus is his passes are so accurate. Like even if Brogdon makes the right pass, it might be down at a guy's knees or a little off to the right or left or something like that. But if Marcus is hitting you, it is right in the shooting pocket. You're ready to catch fire immediately. And I think that really helps for guys' rhythm. So yeah, I tweeted some highlights of Smart's passing right before he stopped playing games because of the injury. I was like, man, we are just missing this dude. And yeah, we just don't have somebody who sees the floor like him. And not a lot of teams do, so it's understandable. But man, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think another thing you can't underrate as well, right? And something that we've been banging on about why this team has been so good for the last couple of years and even back is because Jalen, Jason, and Marcus have been together for so long. Marcus knows these guys' tendencies better than anybody else. As good as Derek and Malcolm are, Malcolm's still new to this team. And understanding, when they like to cut, when it looks like they're faking a cut. Marcus knows these guys like the back of their hands. Even, the fact that he's only been the lead point guard for a season and a half now. He's been playing with them for 6+ years. Yep. So, you can't underrate how important Marcus is. And we've got 3 days off here, which everybody needs, like a freaking hole in the head. Again, we played the more games than anybody, right? In the month of January. Tied for first, sorry.
I think we've played more games than anybody through the season. I think we've played 3 more games than Philly has right now.
I saw that.
2 more than the Bucks. It's just bizarre.
Yeah. So that will eventually kind of even out, and here's our first taste of it, I'm guessing. So 3 days off. We're going to be getting the KD-less Nets, which I don't feel bad about at all. Nope. Yeah. Speaking about our own health issues. Now I'm going to, this next section kind of with the overarching question, does the 1 seed really matter? Of course we want the 1 seed. We want home court advantage. But this Celtics team has been so good on the road this season, incredible on the road last season. Game 6 in Milwaukee, Game 7 in Miami, Game 1 in Golden State. This team's really good on the road. Mm-hmm. They have the playoff experience. I'm not worried about them on the road at all. Jason Tatum, month of January, absurd. 31, 10, and 5 on 59% true shooting. 38.7 minutes per game.
How is that third in the league, dude? Was it the Raptors guys or something?
Yeah, I think Siakam was up there as well. He's 4th in the league in total minutes on the year in last 5 games. And first in the league over the last 5 games, 42 minutes per game. I know there's been 2 overtime games, but it's we ran into this issue last year, whether it's mental or physical fatigue, it became an issue in the Warriors series. And even prior to that, I think in the Miami series as well. The reason we're really good, the reason we're one of the best teams in the league is because of Jason Tatum. Like the team's really good around him, but Spoon, you've been tweeting some of the on-off numbers with Tatum with some of these guys out, and the only reason they're in these games is because Jason Tatum's playing 39 minutes a game.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I tweeted out before the game last night, we were getting outscored by 50 points per 100 possessions when Tatum sat. Like that is jaw-dropping. I mean, obviously it's a small sample size, and that's why it's so crazy, but it just goes to show how important he is to the team. And Karen Creations brings up an interesting point in the chat here. She says, I don't think a trade is keeping JT off the court, honestly. And I tend to agree.
Yeah.
But I almost want Brad to just go get a wing and be like, Joe, this dude is not playing more. I don't care. He's not playing more than 34 minutes. You need to play this guy I just traded for. Like, I agree with you, Karen. I think Joe wants to win these games. I think that's a symptom of being a new rookie coach who's still the interim and still kind of, coaching for his job realistically, right? So I'm not sure a trade would actually get Joe to play him less minutes, but at some point I think Brad's got to step in and just be like, stop it. This can't happen. He cannot average 39 minutes in a month, dude. That's like 2002 stuff, like the 90s. These guys were playing that many minutes, and the game is much more difficult now because there's so many shooters. So you have to sprint out. Yeah, there's so much space. It's like nonstop running now. You watch a 90s game, it's like backing them down. Everybody stands around for 15 seconds of possession. It's just not like that anymore, and we cannot have Tatum be tired for the playoffs again. We just can't. That'll cost us a title.
Yeah, there's no question. And, that's why we were pushing to the All-Star game. We've got this little cushion here and that's the thing as well. Like, we're starting to lose some of these games, and Tatum, to me, defensively has dipped pretty obviously, especially recently. And no poop. 42 minutes a game over the last 5 games is absurd. And no question, I was a Celtics fan in the chat. Like, it is one of my favorite things about Jason Tatum is that he's obsessed with playing. He's obsessed with winning. He wants to be on the court 45 minutes if it's going to help them get a win. And the fact is, he is helping us get these wins. Like, him being on the court, no matter what, in like what capacity, half a wrist, tired, like, it's a good thing. But like, as you said, Spoonie, it cost us a title if he's not at least, like, no one's perfectly healthy and fresh going into the playoffs. But like, Giannis gets rest. Like, a lot of these guys get rest. When I'm looking at the total minutes, like, he's against the other, MVP candidates, he's well ahead outside of Jokic. And Jokic plays a completely different style to Tatum. Like, Jokic barely jumps off the ground. Like,
right.
Like, you can't fit, the newspaper under his feet, and he jogs up and down the court a lot of the time at his own pace. And not to take anything away from his Iron Man stuff, but like, Tatum's playing like wing defense on everyone, chasing out the shooters, as he said. Like, it's tough.
And switching onto bigs and boxing out bigs and battling. He's doing all the stuff Jokic does on defense, and then all the stuff on the perimeter switching. Like, Jokic is just in drop, and he's just protecting the rim. Like, he's not out there switching on guys, chasing around guys around screens and stuff like that. Like, he's got a battle on the boards. He's also a 7-foot monster, like, Tatum is a big dude, but he is not Jokic. I mean, that's going to take a toll on him. We ask a lot out of him on the defensive end. And I'm with you. I think his defense has definitely slipped in the month of January, but I don't really blame him. We just got to get the minutes down, dude. I don't care how. I don't care if we take some more losses. Like, that's why you get 21 games over 500 at the end of January. So you can play him 30 minutes a night, and maybe you lose 2 or 3 or 4 games you shouldn't have, but that's fine. We're good in the standings. We're going to be a top 3 seed unless something terribly, terribly bad happens.
Yeah, that's the one thing. You have to be a 3 seed at least in the East this year, because you cannot end up playing one of Sixers, Bucks, Nets, or Cavs in round 1.
Yeah.
Like, that's another way you screw yourself with rest, is like, as much as I think that we win most of those series, like, you don't want the Cavs in round 1. Like, that ends up going 5, 6 games easily. We need to throttle them down, take some losses. And like, if he plays a few less minutes, it could, bring that defense back. I don't think, we're kind of, sacrificing quality for quantity a little bit here. When his shooting splits were down in January as well. So I think we both agree. One seed's not super important. The other guys coming back will also help, obviously. But yeah, I think this is the easiest, argument for getting another wing is getting Tatum, rested for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Our other Jaylen Brown, having a pretty look. Honestly, you zoom out for Jaylen, 27, 7, 2.7 assists on 48, 32, and 74. So, earlier in the year, we were talking about how, maybe Jalen's fixed the free throw thing. I don't think he's quite fixed the free throw thing.
No.
But yeah. But
okay.
even then, I think, he's going to be basically where he was before. The part of Jalen's game that has just kind of been an issue this year has just simply been the 3-point shooting. This season, 32.8. Last season, 35.8. But the catch and shoot stuff, where it felt like Jaylen was money over the past couple of seasons, he's 32.9 this season and 36.7 last season. It's kind of just all tied into the overall shooting luck. Like Jaylen and Jason's 3-point percentages are down. Jalen's feel like the more likely one to come back. I feel like Tatum just is taking a lot of more difficult ones. So the fact that his 3-point percentage last year is similar to this year, I think might actually end up being closer to where he ends up for the next few years. He'll have an outlier years coming up at some point, but Jaylen, the 3-point stuff, I feel like can come back.
Yeah, it feels like he just never makes wide open catch and shoot three anymore. And those were like absolute money for the longest time, especially from the corners. And I wonder if it's because he's on the ball a little bit more and operating like above the break more. So he's not in that corner. I'd like to see the number. I should have looked it up before the show. That would have been good, but I didn't even think to. I wonder if he's taking less corner catch and shoot threes. I don't even think you can get that specific on NBA.com, but regardless.
Yeah, you can't, because I was looking at corner. Like all of them are down, but you can't look at least we don't have access to catch and shoot on corners versus other spots. But yeah, dude, the corner three has been money for years now, even going back to that run where they went to the Eastern Conference Finals and lost to the Cavs. Like that was like the Jaylen Brown catch and shoot explosion. And it's kind of been money ever since, which means we have a big sample size of him being really good in those spots. And we've even seen it like the microcosm of it when, big games, big moments. Yesterday was an example of, him stepping up. The Warriors game, couldn't make a shot all game, made the biggest catch and shoot three of the game, right? I have faith that it's going to come back. It's just, what do you do?
Painful. It's painful until it does, dude. I mean, that's really when I'm just watching Tatum and Brown just miss 3 after 3. Like, it's not fun to watch. You know what I mean? Like, especially when for Jaylen, especially rather, a lot of these seem like they're open and they're off good ball movement. It's like, oh, dude, you just gotta have that one. You just gotta reward us playing the right way. And then I feel like when the open shots off good ball movement don't go down, then we start getting into if that's not working, we get into the bad habits again. We're very results thinking in that way, but it's basketball. It's natural. These guys aren't like consciously thinking about that in the game. It's just like, well, let's try something a little different here because we can't get a 3 to go. And I don't know if you can think like that, but man, it'll come back. It's got to, dude. He's been a good shooter for too long.
Yeah. Not worried, but it hurts, as you said, because he used to punish teams. You help off Tatum, you help off these guys, and Marcus finds Jaylen, and it's just like going back, celebrating the 3. Not seeing as much of that this year. The All-Star break, we need it. 8 games to go. All right, last little segment here. We're inching towards going too long, as we always do. Joey Maz, Bazooka Joe. How are we feeling? What's the temperature on Joe? I'm going to try and share this video here of Joe getting very upset yesterday and was reminiscent of I've pulled up the wrong thing here, haven't I?
That's all right. Yeah.
I'm very reminiscent of an Ime Udoka, timeout from last season where he would just be so pissed off. And now he's calling these quick timeouts. He's swearing into the camera. I was going to pull up a great video from Nate, but my technological capabilities aren't up to scratch like Ben Ballas's are. Alas, how are we feeling about Joe right now?
Well, I am incapable of being objective when it comes to Joe Mazzulla because he is a fellow Mountaineer like myself. So it's very difficult for me to criticize him, though. Although I have, I think he's done a really good job, all things considered, man. I think he is figuring the timeout thing a lot better. Yeah, he was a Popovichian style pissed off timeout, which Udoka is the Popovich tree, and then clearly Joe picked that up. So I think he's had a couple really good timeouts in the last few games where we've really needed one, and he's gotten to it. So tend to think that. I also don't mind him letting those guys play through it. I don't think that's the worst thing in the middle of the regular season to do, and let these guys play through adversity, and they're getting back into bad habits. Just play yourself out of those bad habits without a timeout. And then maybe they get ingrained a little bit more. So offense. Yeah. All right. Perfect. Yeah. The offense I think looks, pretty good. I think it looks the things we've wanted: Tatum off ball more, Jalen more involved in crunch time. Joe has done all those things, keeping the ball in Smart's hands. It's been great. So yeah, let's Joe with the angry timeout. Yeah. Swearing around.
I love
He's
it.
a very religious man too. So I'm surprised. Yeah.
I love it because Brad's been through it. Ime's been through it. And now Joey Maz has been through it.
Yeah.
These guys know what to do, more than capable of playing the right way, but sometimes and for multiple weeks at a time, they don't.
They just don't.
They just don't. In the post-game press conference, they're like, yeah, we got to play the right way. And then they don't again. And it's just funny to me to see Joe be the next coach in line to go through it, because it will turn around at this point. We've been harping on the Malcolm and Jalen minutes kind of coming together, but going back to Marcus and Rob being out, like the rotation is kind of 7.5 deep right now. Yeah. Like in the second half yesterday, I'm pretty sure he only went 7 deep. There was no Hauser, there was no Pritchard. Another Ime Udokian move there. Yeah, it's like I'm not losing 4 in a row. Like we're going to load up the minutes. We're going to shorten the rotation. So playing Malcolm and Jalen together, you kind of have no choice but to have those minutes kind of match up at times. So
I think that was the right call, going for it, so we don't lose 4 in a row.
I don't know. Yeah, how do you not play the results? It's just tough. Yeah. Like the fact that we got the win makes me say yes. But going back to what we were saying about how seedings don't matter. I was actually watching the game with my sister yesterday, who's visiting from New York, and she's like not a sports fan at all. She's like, "Is this like the finals or whatever?" I'm like, "No, this is like they have like 40 games left." She's like, "Oh, so this doesn't really matter." And me and my dad were like, "That's a good point."
True, yeah.
It really doesn't feel like it doesn't matter right now, but it was honestly like a good reminder, like just like factual. It's one of 30 plus games left. It doesn't really matter, so. Probably wasn't the best decision, but
I don't know. I feel like when you're on a slide, though, you just got to get off the slide, right? You like, if you just break the slide, like we saw it, we had that 1 win in 5 games or whatever, 1 win in 6 games. And then we got that next win, and then we ripped off 9 in a row. And I just feel like sometimes it's worth it to just flip the momentum of the season on its head and just like go for a win. And it's prime time. It's the Lakers. It's LeBron. Like, I'm glad he did it. Like, if this were the Raptors or, we were playing like Charlotte or something like that, and it was a close game, it's like, dude, let Hauser play. Like, come on, what are we doing here? But considering the circumstances, considering we had lost 3 in a row, it felt like we kind of needed this one.
Yeah, I think, look, you've convinced me. Great call. We've got we've got the 3 days off coming up after this as well. So, you can kind of empty the tank a little bit here. So, good move. Yeah, exactly. I was a Celtics fan in the chat. He broke the bad momentum we had. Yeah, it was the T-Wolves game, right? Where we were on that slide. It was just after the Pacers game where we played awfully again, which led straight into the Bucks game on Christmas, and we were back to feeling like we're going to win the title again. So, yeah, I think maybe, well, that gives Joe the ticket of approval for the month of Jan.
There we go.
There we go.
10-5's a lot better than 9-6, right, Jake?
Right?
Come on.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's just hard though with the coaching. Like I think going back to the 3-point shooting, like in the health. Like I think he's limited with how much he can really do.
Yeah.
I know people are obsessed with the Jason Tatum coming out in the first quarter thing. We did that all last season as well.
Yep.
Like
he's done that his whole career. Once he made the star turn,
yeah,
Brad did that. Ime did that, and Missoula. It's because Tatum destroys with bench lineups. So you take him out, get Grant in there or something to play with the starters, and then you can have Tatum play with 4 bench guys, and it's good still. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It's just those Jalen Brogdon minutes have not been good, so it's kind of putting us in. It's like a weird situation. It's like on one hand, do you want Tatum to prop up the bench, but then you're probably playing Jalen and Malcolm together. So it's a tough situation. I guess the hope is just like keep playing those two together and hopefully they figure it out.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Still, figuring out how each other play. But yeah, they are overlapping skill wise. Like Brogdon's a better playmaker, lower turnovers and stuff like that. But definitely not he's not a pure point guard by any stretch of the imagination. He's a score first point guard. It's a long season. Joe's still tinkering, especially with guys out. But look, we're still the number 1 seed in the East. We still have the best record in the NBA. Everything's okay.
Yep.
We got 3 days off. We got 8 games before the All-Star break. We have the Nets coming up next, followed by the Suns. I've heard nothing about Booker coming back anytime soon, but fingers crossed we get the Suns without Booker. I'm not really, too concerned with these star players coming back against us. It feels like we usually get the luck the other way around.
Right.
And there's a bunch of winnable games in there. So push to the All-Star break, get everybody a break, trade for Javonte Green, and we'll be good to go. Or PJ Washington, PJ Tucker. I'm not sure if you
definitely not
his
Tucker.
disastrous game against the Nuggets yesterday, shooting 36% at the rim this year. It's just, yeah. And he missed just a wide open layup. And then the Sixers Nuggets, I should say, proceeded to blow that one.
I watched some of the fourth quarter when the Sixers were blowing it open. I was like, all right, I'm done with this.
This is not fun anymore. And then the Knicks couldn't get it done against the Nets either. But thankfully, the Celtics saved the day. But I think that's all I got for today. Anything else to add before we get out of here?
I got nothing, Jake, man. Hey, win's a win, right?
Win's a win.
3 days off. So
3 days off. Everybody get some sleep. Get back to the ice tub, meditation, get your mind straight, self-care. It's important. Spoonie, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for everybody hanging out in the chat. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of First to the Floor. Please like, subscribe everywhere in our never-ending battle against the algorithm overlords. They're tough out there. Speak to you next time. Go Celtics.